We're stepping into the time machine for this next segment, and we're heading back to 2014, where in the Great Flinders Football League, it was United Yeelanna who were crowned premiers. And I've got the 2014 United Yeelanna Premiership Captain on the line with me, Xavier Watson. Great to have you on the show, Xavier. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Dan. Going well, mate.
Glad to hear. Now, it's 10 years since the Premiership. What stands out as some of the main memories from that grand final and from the whole season? Because obviously it was a very successful one.
Yeah, it was a successful season for the footy club. 2014 was actually a celebration of our 50 years as United Yeelanna. So that season we had quite a few lads, boys that grew up and played their junior footy at United Yeelanna but had moved to Adelaide. They were making the effort to fly home each week and play in the A-grade side. So that was a real boost for the club. And I think we actually won. We won the Colts, the B-grade and the A-grade that year. So super successful year for the club.
Absolutely, very successful year, and I've had a look back through the history books. United Yeelanna premierships in 1967, 1983, 1986 and 87 back-to-back, and then a little bit of a gap. So until 2012, just the 4 flags, but then since 2012, there was the flag in 2012, back-to-back-to-back 2014 to 2016, back-to-back 2018-19, and then 3 in a row again over the last 3 seasons up until last year. And it genuinely would be easier to list the years that you didn't win the flag since 2012. So was there something back in that era that sort of flicked the switch within the club and started yielding all these premierships?
Well, I suppose probably traditionally United Yeelanna don't really have continued success like we have in the last 10 years. We sort of, when we were winning those grand finals in the 80s, it was probably all of the current playing group. It was all of our fathers that were playing. There was a sort of a big, almost like a generation gap in the community. So we struggled for a long time through the late 90s and early 2000s. But then sort of all the players that were my age started coming up and playing juniors together, and we had the opportunities. A lot of the players are farmers, so they were able to stay in the community and that sort of stuff. And just had a really young team towards the end of around about 2010. And then as we got older, obviously playing together for a long time, coming into the prime of our footy, we started putting it all together and winning those premierships. So yeah,
it's a pretty cool story having the from one generation to the next, and then seeing the success that has been there over the last 12 years. And hopefully there's not another big generation gap, but I'm sure plenty of the players, especially from that 2012 and 2014 premiership, I'm sure there's a lot of kids coming through from that group now. Do you know of any that are playing Colts now or getting into the senior age groups?
Yeah, we have. We're sort of probably at the footy club at the moment. A lot of our kids are sort of 6 or 7 and younger. So there's a big group of kids coming through that are that age. But then there's a lot we've actually had the Colts were pretty successful last year, and they played in the grand final, which was the first time for quite a while that our Colts side, probably since that 2014 Colts grand final, we've been pretty light on numbers and been a bit of a struggle for the under-16s for a while. But it was good to see, we've got some good kids coming through at the moment. So hopefully they'll be, the oldest ones of the next wave of kids come through for the footy club. So.
All right, well, something to look forward to there for sure, the third generation coming through, and no doubt there'll be plenty more success. And what are you doing with yourself now? Are you still playing for United Yeelanna?
Yeah, still playing. Just getting a bit older and slower, obviously, these days. But, still, it's not getting any easier, that's for sure. But, still playing and, still enjoying it. So it's hard to stop while you're winning, obviously. So
absolutely. And how many of those premierships did you play in since 2012 then? Have you played in all of them?
No, I haven't. No, there's 5 lads at the footy club that have played in all 9.
Wow.
I have played. I missed 2012 and 2021. So I've played in 7.
Oh, sensational win-loss record in there, nevertheless. Let's focus in on that 2014 season a little bit more. Like I said, it's 10 years since then, and you went 14-1 for the season, qualified for the grand final with a gigantic 219-62 victory over Ayr United, then won the grand final over the Ramblers 118-71. So an extremely dominant season, but there was that one loss in there. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it was in the second semi that year. I think we did play Ayr United when we had that big win. But during the year, they did beat us out at Ungara, and we had I don't want to make too many excuses, but we did have a couple of good players out through the
10 years on, and the excuses are still there for that one loss in a premiership year. Unbelievable, but no, that's a valid excuse.
A couple of lads that were playing there was a state country game over in Perth, and there was a couple of lads that were away playing in that. But yeah, no, they did beat us there one day. But yeah, no, it was, apart from that, yeah, we sort of did win. Even in the grand final, we did end up winning by a decent margin, but we didn't have it all our own way, especially early in the game. Ramblers jumped us in the first quarter, and I think at quarter time, I reckon they might have even been 8-1 up at one stage, but we did jag a couple late ones at the end of the first quarter.
What else do you remember from the game itself, from the grand final? Were there any particular highlights or any big hits or anything like that 10 years later still stand out and still get reminisced about at the footy club? Because obviously you've won so many premierships in that time. I mean, they probably almost all start to fade into one, but what's the thing that sets the 2014 premiership apart?
Yeah, probably the thing that I suppose when you look back, I suppose the fact that we were down at quarter time, and to come back, I think we might have hit the front late in the second quarter and just had a really good second quarter with all the boys sort of lifted and had some clean footy on board. But as far as anything in particular that stands out of my mind, we did get a good spray at quarter time from our coach, Ian Proctor, and that gets talked about a bit. Probably some language that probably wouldn't be suitable for radio, but it was got everyone up and about, so it was good.
Great, you gotta love a good spray out on the footy field. Yeah. We've all been on the wrong end of one or two of them, and they're not much fun, but they do motivate the group. So that's great to hear that 10 years on, that's still getting talked about. And any premiership reunions, anything planned for this year for the 10-year anniversary?
So generally we do have our premiership reunions every second year. So like through the history, last year we had one, and we did all the reunions from the 2s and the 3s. And then, so then we probably won't have a reunion this year, but next year we'll group together the 14 and 15, or the 4s and the 5s, I suppose, premierships through the club's history. So, even last year we actually had a Colts premiership reunion from 2003, and then that was married up with a lot of the same players that played in that 2012 first A-grade grand final win. So, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, plenty to look forward to then. And just getting back to the 2014 grand final again, obviously you were the captain on the day. Do you remember making any sort of moves yourself or any sort of leadership moments that stand out that you remember that you really think, even 10 years on, really helped the team get over the line?
Oh, not too much personally.
No, I'm not going to ask you to toot your own horn too much or anything like that, but any memories like that?
No, not really from me personally. I think it was more so from the coach. That was the real motivator that got us going at quarter time. And that sort of got the boys up and going. But I don't think that there was. I think I can remember that I did in particular that was. That would have had that bigger influence, I don't think.
Fair enough. A humble captain, that's what we love to see. Were there any big standout performers on the day? Anyone kick a bag of goals or rack up 40 touches or anything like that? Or was there anyone who you sort of thought had the absolute game of their life that you weren't really expecting from them?
Probably there was one guy that we, a more experienced player, Sam Hancock, who was playing centre forward that day. And, he had too many kicks during the year, but on grand final day, he, everything and a few good goals. So that was that was definitely a shock to me to see him. He always says that he should have got the best on ground medal that day. So he saved his best for the last game of the year, which was good.
All right, well, good time to save it for. And you said a lot of the guys are still around the club now, and there were 5 guys who've played in all those grand finals through the years. What about the guys who aren't at the club anymore? Do you know, have any of the youngsters from that era gone on to play elsewhere, play AFL or at the state level or anything like that you're aware of?
We'd had sort of fully, not so much that played as a kid and then left, but we did have, like, Casey Carr played 50-odd league games for Port Adelaide, and Joel Kay flew back home from Adelaide that year as well, and he's played a few games at Sturt in the league side as well. They were 2 very handy players that played that year. Matthew Cretton, he played a bit of state country footy. We had sort of probably Mark Habner. He'd played state country as well, but sort of was towards the end of his career in 2014. There was a few lads that had been and played in Adelaide and then come home for that year, which was good to see. So.
How does the 2014 Premiership rank for you among the 7 that you've won? And you said some of the guys have won 9, but obviously for you it was the first one in this era of sustained success. So, I mean, you can't get bored of winning them, but where does the 2014 one rank compared to some of the fresher ones where you've won your 5th, 6th and 7th?
Yeah, well, I think that probably 2014 is my favourite. It was, the first one, and, it was such I suppose, the group of lads that were flying back from Adelaide, it's something that we talked about for a long time, since we were kids coming home and all playing together back at Yeelanna. And, for that to all happen and then, to get the premiership, I mean, it was such a special day for the footy club in our 50th year, and to have 3 football teams win premierships that day, that was a pretty cool thing. I'd say that 2014 is probably my favourite one. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. Must have been a special one, and I think that's the case for most people. The first one's always the most special because you haven't had a taste of it yet, and you just can't get enough of it after that. And you mentioned the generational thing with a lot of the fathers sort of winning those premierships back in the 80s, and then all the kids coming through and winning them in this era. Do you know of any father-son duos that actually took the field together?
Not in the A grade. We've had quite a few father-son duos play in the B grade over the last few years. Probably our B grade numbers have been falling a little bit, but so that gives the opportunity for the father-son combinations to happen. Even this year we had Lockie Hancock and Josh Hancock play together. Josh, unfortunately, didn't last long after the warm-up, but there's been a few of them that have had the chance to play together, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, it's very cool. And the warm-ups, they get a little bit longer as the age gets a little bit older. You need an extra few laps of the oval to get warmed up, a few more stretches, and even then sometimes you're helpless. The hammies just won't let it happen. And what about yourself? Have you got kids playing at the club now, and are you eyeing off playing with them at all?
So I've got 3 boys myself. My oldest one is 5, so he's just started playing in the mini-minis, which is just basically a little scratch match at half-time of the A grade. He 5... That makes him probably at least another 10 years before he'll be sort of looking to play senior footy, and 10 years for me to be still playing seems like a long way away. But we'll see how things are going. I'd love to tick the box once, but I may even end up like Josh Hancock and probably spend most of the time on the bench, I think, by the time 10 years come around.
Oh, well, at least, even if you spend the game on the bench, at least you can say you suited up and you were a part of the game and you've got the story to tell, even if you don't technically take the field together, or even if you do take the field together and pull a hammy in the opening few minutes or even in the warm-up. So certainly something to look forward to. Well, it's been great reminiscing on this with you. Obviously, I'm sure it's been a lot of fun for you, and for me it's been a lot of fun learning about this Premiership team. There's an awful lot of history within this club, clearly, and I'm sure the prospects are looking good for the coming years as well. Obviously, like I said earlier, you won in 2014, 15 and 16, and you've three-peated again 21, 22, 23, but never done the 4 in a row. So do you think that's on the cards for this season?
Yeah, well, actually, we didn't play in 2020 because it was a COVID year. So the Great Flinders Football League
Of course.
didn't play at all. So, that's sort of if you don't count that, yeah.
So you're sitting on 5 in a row, aiming for 6 this year then?
That's right, yeah, yep. So obviously we've got a bit of an ageing playing group, but I think the hunger's still there. We've got a new coach this year in Luke Duncan, and I think having a new coach with fresh ideas and whatever will be good for the playing group, and keep everyone motivated, which I don't think has been an issue for us at the moment. So hopefully, success can continue.
Seems like it's been anything but an issue. Xavier, thank you very much for popping on and giving us a look back through time at the 2014 United Yeelanna Premiership. And you were the captain on the day, and obviously your leadership was pretty good because it was right at the start of an era of a lot of sustained success. So I'm sure they'll be hard to beat again this year. Good luck to you for the upcoming season. And, well, I look forward to talking to you again through the years because there's a lot more Premiership milestones for you to celebrate.
Thanks for that, Dan. Cheers for the chat, mate. It's been good to turn back the clock.